Yosef, how are you, brother?
Austin, it is such a pleasure to see you follow the quarantine regulations while driving and FaceTiming at the same time.
Yeah, no, totally. It's my pleasure. I'm actually not following the regulations, though they did start the mask thing today. I've just been experimenting in quarantine with different facial hair options, and I shaved my face yesterday, so I'm hiding it in shame. I'm like Samson, my strength is gone, and so I'm covering it until it can grow back. My chin has never been seen on television, so that's why I have to stay like this.
Well, is there any chance that sometime within these, 15 minutes we'll get a glimpse of it?
If it falls off, yeah, there's a chance.
Very nice.
And also, if you give us some, we want some narrative history. You might be, unlike the television spokesman, you actually might be the most interesting person alive. And we need stories from Harvard and Israel, and I mean, you got to bring out the good stuff for us.
Yeah. Actually, just this past week on April 9th, we celebrated our 30th year of arrival to the United States. We came to New York. It was, I think, one day, less than one day that we were in New York. We did paperwork. We stood in line where they asked us for our names. And that's why my name is so awkward. It's Iosif. What is Iosif? Who has ever heard of Iosif? Well, because when we came here, our parents didn't know that Joseph was an American version of Iosif. So my mom she just spelled it out, Eosef. And that's what I've been stuck with for the rest of my life. It's been a blessing.
Wow.
Hey,
So
so
have you ever met another one? Is there any other Yosefs?
There is one other Iosif Zhakevich in the United States, and he's my cousin, and he went through the same dilemma that I went through.
That's amazing. Well, on this edition of This Is Your Life, we're actually bringing him onto the Zoom call right now. Yosef, please join us. Hello, I am Yosef, the other one, the cousin.
Oh, this is terrific. This is excellent.
Sometimes I don't let Nathan start the call with all his kind of planned out stuff, and I just kind of I would do what they call Zoom bomb.
Yeah, it's
I will affirm that the spontaneity is far more entertaining than anything I could pre-plan. Joe, I would like to know, when you came, how was Zhakevich pronounced? And how is it properly pronounced? Because I know we've had this conversation before, but I feel like we need it on video.
It's important.
Yeah, this is important. There's a couple of variations that I do remember, but there are several actually. So in Russia, it was Zhakevich. Prior to Russia, in Poland, it was something else which I'm not aware of. When we were in Austria, we spent 3 months in Austria at a refugee transit camp, and there it was Shaikowitz. Then when we went to Italy, I don't remember what it was in Italy. And when we came here, there was a period where it was morphing into what became Zhakevich. The kids, the cousins, and then the people who actually listen to us, they say Zhakevich, which is the proper way.
Tell us a little bit about what it's been like to be hanging out at home with Mark, who of course lives with you. Tell us a little bit about how you've been able to comfort your older brother during these uncertain times.
Mark is a non-stopping machine who works day and night. No matter how he feels, no matter whether he's hungry or if he's dehydrated, he's always working. So that's what it's been like in the house. Before the sun rises, he's on the phone Zooming with somebody or FaceTiming somebody or answering some kind of administration emails. And that goes through the day until sunset. And the group that works with him in accounting, they know that this is true. So this is, not because Mark is always working, but I've decided to spend most of my time at the Master's Seminary as an essential faculty member. According to the government, I'm able to come to the seminary. And so I have been coming here just like I have previous times. I'm here usually by 6 and I go home shortly after dinner. So I spend most of the time working here. So it's been great spending time during quarantine trying to be productive.
I know you've been busy. Tell us what projects you've been focusing on during this Safer at Home initiative.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest blessings in my life that has happened to me, and I have had many, there's no doubt, but it has been to be part of the translation team, the Legacy Standard Bible. During the quarantine, at this point, I've cleared my schedule of everything that I was working on, the smaller projects, good projects that I'll come back to. And I've devoted my entire time outside of teaching and grading and interacting with students through Zoom or FaceTime. I've devoted my time entirely to the Legacy Standard Bible. And what this means is I'm essentially reading the Bible, 5 to 10 hours a day, depending on how my schedule looks. And that has been one of the greatest blessings I can ever imagine.
Joe, maybe just a final question for you. As you think about our students who are trying to do their study from home, they're also trying to work and minister to family, and all of those different categories of life are kind of mashing into one. What words of wisdom or advice would you have for them, maybe about trusting the Lord and also being diligent during this time?
Yeah, one of the things that has struck me more than anything else, I suppose theologically or practically, is that most of the world is responding in such a fearful way because they're really feeling the reality of being like vapor, of being like grass, of being transient, that their life is in danger and that they may pass because of the coronavirus. And the truth is that is a fact. And we are transient, and the Psalms talk about this, and Ecclesiastes talks about. Isaiah in chapter 40 says that our lives are like grass, and if you missed, this is in verse 6, but if you missed the metaphor, in verse 7 he says people are grass. One day they are in existence, and the next day they have been dried out. So just recognizing that as a reality and responding to that by redeeming our time and thinking about the fact that for each person, God has designated a purpose in this life, and thinking about our time in light of that we need to fulfill our purpose in this world. And I think thinking about this time in light of that God has a purpose for us, we have an unusual time where we have more time, where we have more control of our time, and just redeeming that time so that we do fulfill the specific purpose that God has designated for our lives.
I said that was the final question, but I actually have one more question, and I want you on record on that.
Yeah.
Per your studies in Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, how old was Rebecca?
Targum Pseudo-Jonathan.
Wow, Nathan, now we're talking hard-hitting journalism. That is what I'm talking about. Good question.
People will probably wonder, what is Targum Pseudo-Jonathan and why are we talking about pseudo stuff? How about I answer this? Targum Pseudo-Jonathan is the Aramaic translation of the Torah, of the Pentateuch, and that was the focus of my dissertation.
It's fascinating and embarrassing at the same time because I thought Targum Pseudo-Jonathan was the name of the band you were in when you were at Harvard.
That's right. So that was a different band, but maybe we can talk about that in a different Zoom call.
It was like an indie punk sound. But I was thinking of something else. Never mind.
Oh yeah. I'll send the video of that.
Want to see it.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for checking in. We're grateful for you. I'm glad you're getting a lot done.
Thanks, Nathan. Thank you, Austin. Great to see you
See you,
guys.
Joe. Good to see you, man.
Yeah.